This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. The circus continues on. I need to cover something that I can't remember if we've ever seen this in the history of the United States of America, but we have a pointless debate, and usually these debates are between people who are supposedly running for president, to make you think that you actually get to vote for one of these guys. That's part of the illusion, of course, of of freedom in this country. This one makes really no sense to me. You have a sitting governor in California and a sitting governor in Florida. And what makes sense to me that, why they're doing it is, of course, herding mechanisms, right? I'm talking about how they're herding people into specific states for conservatives versus Democrats. And these are the two big magnets that have been the components of the herding mechanism. Everybody has fled who is conservative to Florida. Everybody who didn't want to get poisoned has fled to Florida. They're herding people into specific states so they could be sitting ducks for them, whether they use HAARP or whether they just do a fake thing where they are obviously responsible for it and then blame it on the boogeyman in Russia or China or wherever they want to blame them. They're getting people herded into specific spots. There will be different rules in each state. And of course, we're seeing what's going on in a lot of the Democratic states by design. So this is something we've never seen before, where they're just literally going on TV and they're fighting with each other. There's no goal for the end of this thing. It's just like, it's like a wrestling match. They're like, tonight the Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man, they're going to have a heated debate in the ring and not a heated argument. And you're like, what's the point? And they're like, oh, well, they're leading up to a match. They're going to have a wrestling match. You're like, oh, okay, so that's where the show's going. This show, well, the end result is hurting you because neither one of them is actually going to be running for president or nominated for running for president. And even if they were, they wouldn't be running against one another, because we already know that Trump's been hand selected and all the stuff they tell us. I mean, even though it's all fake polling, nobody would vote for DeSantis over Trump because of the hysteria they've built behind the herding of Donald Trump. So that being said, I have to play for you a couple of the clips from this debate because it shows you where we're at as a country, just mentally, because everybody watched this and they were like, oh, that's so funny. Ron DeSantis talks about a poop map. That's right, a poop map. I mean, this just shows you where we're at, where we're not throwing these people out of power, where we're not just literally grabbing them off the streets and putting them in prison, which the Constitution allows us to do. Instead, what we're doing is we're letting them gloat in front of our faces and talk about things like poop maps. You might say, what in the world's a poop map? Well, DeSantis, as I'll show you here, brings up a map of where people are defecating and pooping in the streets because people are just pooping all over San Francisco because that's done by design. Now, why is it done by design? The Democrats are destroying the infrastructure of these cities because they're told that's what they have to do. So all they need to do is sit there, play dumb, and act like they're trying to do something and, be smug about it instead of actually doing something. Why? Because they want to bring in their smart cities. The smart cities are smart city governance. These cities will be completely run on technology. And that's what they're eventually doing here. They'll have those all in place. And then, of course, they'll bring about the demise of having these political figures even in charge because they'll say, we can't trust any of these guys. They're clowns. And that's the role they're all playing. And everything will be under smart city surveillance. It'll be a smart city government. They'll be like, hey, we don't need to elect anybody because the people are, they're flawed. They have beliefs in this. One guy wants to burn books. Another guy wants to have books teaching kids how to do disgusting acts at school. So let's just get rid of them all. And then we'll have a smart city governed by technology. We don't have to worry about individuals because technology doesn't care about skin color, et cetera. Nobody will think about the boogeyman behind the curtain, like they've taught us for years and years through MK Ultra and Oz, who's actually watching and policing and listening to what everyone's saying, like in China, and throwing you in prison if you question the insane, tyrannical, psychotic society that they're building. No. They won't ask those questions. So obviously, the liberals are destroying the cities. I'm going to play a little compilation of clips here. Here's the poop map that you need to listen to, as well as the book burning and some of this stuff with the book burning. To me, is insane. Like, we're actually talking about book burning like we care. They're like, book burning. It's, then people can't have these ideas and read these books and have a different, how about the banning of human banning? Because all of us here are victims of human banning, where we can't give our own opinion. They're banning us as human beings from talking. But we're really concerned about books, which of course are all propaganda books, where someone should have the right to read or not read a book, just like someone should have the right to listen to someone like me or not. Instead, what they do is they say, well, this guy's not allowed to talk because his opinion's too dangerous. And my opinion's dangerous. Why? Because it's a threat to showing people the blueprint of what they're trying to do to our society while they continue to keep us divided. These are all things that they don't want you to realize. They want you to be divided. They want you to fight via political party. And then what's even crazier is when I'm going to play these clips right now, is the aftermath of these clips. What's the aftermath? Who won? Oh, you read online, all the people, both trending. DeSantis creamed him. He embarrassed him. And then the liberals, Newsom made him look like a fool, right? It's like listening to people watching a football game because that's what's going on here. They literally are affiliated to their political party, and their political party could do no wrong. And they're talking head on TV like DeSantis or Trump. Oh, they're great. They love what they're saying. They're making fun of them. They're embarrassing them. And it goes back and forth, and then they decide who wins. And, of course, their team always wins because they're defending their team instead of going, this is absurd. This whole concept is absurd. Listen to the nonsense these people are talking about. These are politicians talking about poop maps on national television.
San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened in one of the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town. Then they cleaned up the streets. They lined the streets with Chinese flags. They didn't put American flags there. They cleaned everything up. So they're willing to do it for a communist dictator, but they're not willing to do it for their own people.
I want to get in with the limited time we have left. I want to get
the role of the schools to educate kids, not indoctrinate kids. It's not to impose an agenda. It's to do the basics. And what we've said in Florida is it's inappropriate to tell a kindergartner that their gender is a choice. It's inappropriate to tell a second grader that they may have been born in the wrong body. Now, California has that. They want to have that injected into the elementary school. My wife and I have a 7-5 and a 3-year-old. We don't think that that's appropriate. And I know most parents do not think it's appropriate. It's also important to respect parental rights to know what curriculum is being used in the classroom, and everything should be age appropriate. I actually have something that I brought that some parents have objected to. So this is a book that's in some of the schools in California. Florida, this is not consistent with our standards, called Gender Queer. Some of it's blacked out. You would not probably be able to put this on air. This is pornography. It's cartoons. It's aimed at children, and it's wrong. So this should not be in schools. When people like on the left say that somehow you're banning books by removing this from a young kid's classroom, no, this is not age appropriate. And so we're going to stand for the rights of parents. I think we need to do that nationwide. I don't think you can have a situation where some states just trample on the rights of parents. Parents have a fundamental right to direct the education and upbringing of their kids.
I mean, by the way, you've been on a banning bench. 1,406 books have been banned.
This ethnic studies where they're dividing people, that's what they're doing. But let me just say something about parents' rights, because he says California respects parents' rights. This is Rich. He's been telling a lot of whoppers tonight. This may be the biggest. In California, if you're a parent in Iowa or New Hampshire or South Carolina, your minor child can go to California without your knowledge or without your consent and get hormone therapy, puberty blockers, and a sex change operation, all without you knowing or consenting. How in the heck is that honoring parents' rights when you're bringing people from out of state to go around their parents' backs and getting life-altering surgeries? That is radical. That is extreme. That is an assault on parents' rights.
You know what, Ron?
It's not for you to decide. It's for the parents to decide. And the parents do not want their kids going to these other things.
Let me go to a follow-up. Let me stay on a follow-up. Let's turn to the issue of education.
Where's your decency and humanity and grace when it comes
of ripping somebody away?
Gentlemen, please. Nobody can hear you.
That is wrong. That is wrong.
All right.
That should not stand in this country.
Let us turn.
So obviously what they're doing is gaslighting their audience, right? They're talking, some of you might be too young, but this is not how politics are supposed to work. They're supposed to be on there talking about, lowering taxes, how we could, do this or that to change it. We shouldn't even be having debates about the type of garbage they're trying to put in schools, but of course they're doing this to gaslight. They're doing this because eventually you're not going to be going to school anymore. Everything is going to be online. That's the point, because you're all going to be prisoners in your home. So while we all sit there and we go, who cares about the stuff in the schools? Get your kids out of the schools. Well, they want your kids out of the schools because they want to do this stuff online where they have full control over what your kid is learning. They don't have to worry about an individual teacher who's not a robot teaching your kids, because they might have a conscience at some point and stop them from teaching them this perverse garbage. They will have this stuff all online. Okay, and then, of course, when they make more outbreaks, more and more people won't want to go to school because they'll be afraid that they're going to get the common cough. And that's what a lot of people are fearful of today. They're afraid to get the cough and the runny nose versus actually getting the poison, which is, like taking rat poison. So anyway, this is what we're dealing with here, right? Some of the stuff, poop maps. So it's an utter joke, right? And people are like laughing, like, that's so funny that he's showing them a poop map. Like, is it funny? Our tax money is funding this charade that's going on television. We shouldn't be having debates about a poop map. This shouldn't be a political thing, but it is. It shouldn't be a thing where you're like, well, I'm going to side with Newsom. If he wants to let people defecate the road, he's a Democrat. I'll side with him. How about just like, no? How about we just side with each other and say, this is disgusting. I don't care what the affiliation is. We need to clean this up. And if these people aren't going to do it, we throw them out of power, right? That's what common sense tells us to do to these people, but it's not happening. We're not getting to that point. Why? Because of the political affiliation crap. Okay, this has all been done by design by them to make you, this is not what politics used to look like. So if you're a teenager, this is all you know. This is not what it was. First of all, nobody would watch these people when they debated on television anyway, and it would be very rare that they did. Okay, you have Reagan debating this guy, you have Bush debating Clinton. Those types of things went on. Rarely. Okay, the news would rarely have any real big stuff about what's going on. Now it's used as a herding mechanism, and it gets you to be completely in on your political party. Then you start slowly giving away things that you believe in and compromising because you're a part of a team. So when they come out and they tell you, well, like DeSantis was very, very strict in the beginning on restrictions, right? And then it changed, but then, there's still some things in place. And of course, he's 100%, Ivy League secret societies funded right out of Bagelville himself. So we know who's pulling his strings. And he's looked at as an extremist in this country. The two of them are looked at as extremists, extreme left and extreme right. And that's why they did this by design. Now people out there will go, oh, they did it for ratings. They did it because they're the big personality. Why would either of them even agree to this? Because each one of them makes the other look like a fool, right? Newsom's role is to make it look like this guy's burning books and this guy's and whatever the word, Nazi, he's against freedoms. And then he's going, I got a map of all the poopies in San Francisco, which was once a beautiful city. And then you're cleaning the streets up for China. That's another gaslighting thing that they just did. I covered that on my other channel, United Uprising, that they had the, one of their conferences there. And of course, the streets got cleaned up and they put Chinese flags there. And this is gaslighting. It's gaslighting everybody out there, making them go insane. What really should happen, instead of us going back and forth, this guy said this guy, get rid of them all. That's why people like us are threats to them. Get rid of them all. Republican and Democrat, get rid of them, the people who are in there, because they weren't ever elected. They were placed in there. They're placed in there to divide us, to fully divide us and herd us. And they used to not be able to herd people because it would just be a guy in a red tie and a guy in a blue tie. And you'd be like, whatever, that's what they want to do. And that's what they want to talk about. Yeah, libs are a little bit out there. Yeah, they used to just be like, affirmative action. And people get mad about that. Affirmative action, they're still trying to push the racial stuff. But now they're out there telling you that your kid should have gender affirming care at 5. So, give them an inch and they take 1,000 yards, right? These are things where we say, okay, this isn't happening. We didn't put these people in these positions so that they could tell us that our kids should castrate themselves. Bye-bye. You go, you get your handcuffs, you go to their home and you arrest them. Or you don't even have to go that far. You say, okay, you're going to resign today or we're going to arrest you. And then they resign. But the system isn't the way it used to be because they would just immediately say that it's a terror threat, even though the Bill of Rights and the Constitution tell us that these people can be thrown out of power for, conspiring against the people, which is what's going on. And, this tyranny, this is not accepted. It shouldn't be. Well, it is accepted, but it's not legally allowed, right? The citizens have a right to throw this stuff out, but they obviously created the 6th of January so that if anybody does try to do that, they'll throw you in jail for 5 to 20 years, 30 years, more than somebody who commits a real crime. And they'll say that you're a terrorist threat because you're, trying to mess with their entire operation here, which is nothing more than really a big psychological operation because people believe that this whole thing is set up where there is votes that they do count and they don't. This thing is an utter joke. It's a joke that we're accepting this as, real. That we're like the stuff that they're discussing is utterly absurd, right? People are struggling to even buy things. People are struggling to pay their bills on a monthly basis. And we're sitting there listening to them talk about maps of poop where they could clearly just take care of it and clean up, which, again, they gaslighted with China just coming into San Francisco and how they cleaned up the streets so fast and so quick. And the reason that the Dems, again, nobody gets it. They're like, why are they allowing their cities? I hear so many people, if I mention this stuff, if I go somewhere and there's somebody starts talking to me, obviously, they don't know my background or anything. And I talk about this stuff. They don't understand why the cities are being destroyed like this. It's to build new infrastructure. Everything is, all the businesses they want out, okay? Because there's not going to be small businesses anymore. It's going to be controlled. It's going to be state-run businesses. That's communism. Everything is going to be state-run. And they want all these infrastructures destroyed and cities cleared out so that they can rebuild these cities. They're going to make them real fancy, real expensive, real pretty, so that people get herded right back into the cities, but they need to destroy them first. How are you going to get big businesses or small businesses out of the cities? How are they going to get places like, Nordstrom's, they could get them to shut down by just saying you're shutting down, which is probably what they've done. But what about mom and pop shops in cities? Go to New York. There's still tons of mom and pop shops. Well, they're going to bankrupt them out. They're going to kill their businesses off because they're going to make it impossible for them to maintain their business. Not just with the chaos they're causing in the streets, but they're also going to make it so these people have to upgrade all their technology, which they can't afford to do. They're going to make it so they have to have these smart payments, which they can't afford to do. And if they don't want to comply with it, they're gone. They're gone. So they're destroying the cities to rebuild the cities. And then these idiot clowns will go on TV and it's like, the people are pooping in the cities. And Newsom's like, I don't know why they're pooping it. I don't know. Shoulder shrug. Government, the Congress isn't doing anything to stop it. I'm trying to stop it. It's a joke. It's a joke. This shouldn't even be up for conversation. But of course, if you keep them in the left-right, then the Democrats go, it's fine that they're pooping in the streets. Let them poop in the streets instead of just using common sense, being a normal human being and going, this all is utter insanity. We're talking about castrating kids. We're talking about people defecating out in public in the roads, on sidewalks. Like, we shouldn't be allowing any of them, left or right, to do this. And that's the one thing that they don't want. They want you trapped in the left-right, which is why they want to promote the alt-right media and the alt-left media, the extreme viewpoints. And they're going to herd everybody even deeper into extreme sides because then it'll be easier for them to herd them into specific states. We are going to have blue and red states, okay? It's coming. This stuff is coming. It's coming where these states, you're not allowed to have a right to bear arms. They might in blue states let you have, a handgun or something like that, because there are Dems who obviously want to protect their homes. Some of them, not many. There's obviously the complete psychopaths. And of course, those states will be way more overrun with chaos. They'll tell you the red states are, but they're going to have literally unhinged psychopaths like we see with blue hair and dork glasses running among us. But they're going to be different rules, right? You're not going to have gas-powered stoves in these states. They're going to be green. The other are not going to be green. You're going to have electric vehicles only in those and not in the other. This is where it's headed. It's going to be two completely different worlds. Two countries within one. And then, of course, when all the people who are conservative are in red states, they'll be sitting ducks for them because they eventually want to wipe them all out. They want to wipe them all out now, but what are they going to do, right? They're not all herded in one spot. Yeah, Florida's still a honeypot. Texas is a honeypot. But then when you specifically have them in these spots, they could create fake wars with the red states versus Russia, the red states versus China. This is all strategically done while all the people complying in the blue states don't even realize that they're actually prisoners, locked in these states, locked in these smart cities. And that's the fake utopian dystopia that they're creating for them, and they're going to want it. So anyway, this is what we're putting up with on national television, this absolute charade and talking about poop maps. And people are just like, who won? Who won? Nobody won. The people lost. And the people continue to lose because of the left and the right. And they'll never win unless they rise up against it. And they won't because they have gatekeepers like the Daily Wire, etc., that are keeping them hive-minded into believing this stuff instead of saying, you know what, this isn't normal that we're even debating if we should allow people to poop in the streets. These people are supposed to be in charge and supposed to keep an eye over everything. And all they're doing is destroying. And that's done by design. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.